When the FB-111 fighter bomber was first introduced to the Air Force inventory back in the late 1960s, and then 2 squadrons were introduced to the Plattsburgh Air Force Base mission in the early 1970s, she was known as the bad girl of the skies. Nobody wanted to mess with the FB-111, not even the Russians, which is why she is credited largely with keeping the peace during the Cold War. And that is certainly worth celebrating. Through several configurations, Plattsburgh Air Force Base was always prepared to carry out the mission. Being in the Air Force and stationed at Plattsburgh, located just a few hours flying time from the North Pole, and Russia, our #1 nemesis just beyond, was a reality that was not lost on anyone. We hung out at the Clyde Lewis Air Park, next to the former entrance to the base. Here, military aircraft, once vital to the air base's mission for 50-plus years, are on display. Now, almost 300 friends, family, and former enlisted attended the reunion over the 3 days. The air park was just one of several stops on a tour of the North Country, and it was the perfect place to talk to those who once served here.
This whole service is about people. You know?
The Air Force.
Yeah, the Air Force is about people, and you know, if you were in a bar fight, you'd want 3 or 4 of them with you, because you'd have friends. There's a brotherhood. I belong to a group of pilots out in Tucson. They call the Friday Pilots, and we meet every Friday. And we all came from different sectors. We got a couple of 6-year POWs. We got an Apollo astronaut who was a classmate of mine, Apollo 11. We got former Thunderbirds. We got generals. We got lieutenants. We got colonels. And that group is just like a bunch of brothers.
Basically, big family camaraderie, and it's good to see old friends. And we're getting a little old. And it's nice to see them again before they pass. And I think reunions are the best thing that's ever happened. I go to every one of them every year now, and I even go to my class reunions from high school.
You know, you worked on these airplanes or flew these airplanes, and you made friends and lifelong experience with these people that you can reminisce about. And it was, you know, a lot of times it was really tough conditions and unique experiences that nobody else understands. You can't talk to your spouse or civilian friends about what you did because they don't understand it. So that's a lot of what it is, just the common understanding of what you went through flying or working on these airplanes.
Brigadier General Thomas Tobin served 2 separate times here at Plattsburgh Air Force Base, once as the commander of the 528th Bombardment Squadron, and later as commander of the 380th Bombardment Wing.
The B-47 won the Cold War without dropping a bomb, and it was a planned way to operate. We wanted the Soviet Union to know we had weapons and airplanes all over the world, and we advertised it, and it worked. And people say, why do you have nuclear weapons? Why do you have deterrence? And the answer is to avoid war, not to start war. And the B-47 did that for over 30 years.
General Earl O'Loughlin served here as commander of the 380th Bombardment Wing back in 1974. The general is a pilot at heart and attends as many reunions as he can, remembering many of the names of the officers and enlisted who served under him decades ago. As reunion participants came together to finish stories begun long ago, or to gaze upon a once familiar aircraft as if it were a long-lost family pet finally come home, I was eager to learn what it was about serving in the United States Air Force that kept these people coming back, reunion after reunion.
If the past was meaningful, you need to keep it alive, I think. That's what history is, and that's what reunions are all about. What did we do that was right? Well, remember this incident, remember that incident. It's good, it's good. Yeah.
Promoting peace is what we were doing, and by keeping these airplanes flying as a deterrent and as a peaceful mission. Because SAC's motto was "Peace is our profession," and that's what we did. And you know, it was a day-to-day job for all of us, but it had a much larger goal that we worked towards.
And there it was, as simple as that. Only it was people coming home, people who once shared an indelible sense of purpose, a singular sense of purpose. And that was freedom. Freedom and the understanding that in the end, nothing is a stronger shield for freedom than peace. One of the things that I came away with from this reunion in talking to many of the crew members is that a lot of them didn't think of their aircraft as implements of war, but rather as implements of peace, along the lines of that old saying that goes, walk softly, but carry a big stick. And believe me, if you have a B-47 and an FB-111 in your arsenal, there will be peace. For People Near Here on Mountain Lake Journal, I'm Derek Muirden.
People Near Here on Mountain Lake PBS is supported by Valcour Brewing Company.